Hello, this is Emma Slade. You may know me as Ani Pema Deki. I'm a Buddhist nun. I've been a Buddhist nun for 9 years. I was ordained in the Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan, where all my teachers are and where I go for all my guidance. So I am a Vajrayana practitioner. That means I study the Mahayana texts, the wide motivation. And when I do my meditation, my prayers, they're in the Vajrayana tradition. If you haven't met me yet, then I hope in some time in the future we will get a chance to meet. So some friends asked me to just make a small recording at this time, April 2020, when the world is going through quite a tough period. And when we enter difficult times, for us as Buddhists, it's a great opportunity to think, what does that mean? What does that path of being a Buddhist mean to me? How does it give me support and guidance at this time? So I thought I'd just remind you of a few basic principles. First of all sentient beings have Buddha nature, Enyipo. This means that in the very essence of you is none other than Buddha nature. Very difficult to put into words. Let's call it limitless kindness and wisdom. What does it mean when we say we have the essence of Buddha nature? It means that the journey we take is inwards, to see that and then become it entirely. This is the journey of a Buddhist, from the seed of Buddha nature to realize that seed in entirety as quickly as we can, and for the benefit of all sentient beings, as if we carry them all with us on this huge journey. So when I think of you, when I look around me, when I look in the garden and at the sky, I'm looking to see the Buddha nature. Sometimes it's very hard for us to see Buddha nature in ourselves or others. Sometimes our belief or understanding that it is there in essence seems to disappear. It's helpful if you can remember it at this time. And of course, if you're listening to me in human form, then you have what's called the precious human life. It's an amazing opportunity to be born as a human. A great opportunity then to realize the Buddha nature, have the chance to study, to meditate, to listen to great teachers. You can think of it in 3 ways, path of development of precious human life. First, to listen to the Dharma, to teachers, and then to reflect, consider, what are the teachings? What do they mean? What is the impact of them in my life? And then finally to embody or become the wisdom of those teachings. So wherever you are and whatever you're doing, in fact, if you remember that, you can turn many opportunities into times of reflection, remembering some teachings or some reading that you've done of Dhamma. And then of course at every moment, as a practitioner, and seek to fully embody those teachings. So we have the essence of Buddha nature. For us as humans, we have the precious opportunity of a human life. And then we can develop some faith. We can hope we meet teachers who will help us and guide us. And when all of those things come together, we can do what we call as Buddhists take refuge. We can decide to turn the mind away from the endless wheel of negative mental activity, of anger, greed, and selfishness. We can make that deliberate decision at every moment, even every nano moment. We turn away from those things, but not into nothingness, not into a life which is without meaning because it has not got that drama of anger and greed, but instead turning to find deep meaning by taking refuge, taking sanctuary in the Buddha, the example of the Buddha, the mind of the Buddha, taking refuge or sanctuary in the teachings of the Dhamma, the teachings, and finally in what is usually called the noblest Sangha. There may be some Sangha that has some guidance for us, maybe has walked a little further along the path. We all need people who have walked a little further along the path themselves. So at this time, I encourage you to keep taking that refuge. Keep finding that space in your mind to keep taking refuge with the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Keep directing your mind there. Especially if fear or anxiety is coming now. In Tibetan we say Sanjiri Chupan Sokhi Chupnamla Jangchu Bado Nani Chapsuchi is taking refuge. In the noblest Sangha, Dharma and Buddha, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. It's like a vow for your life. What am I saying I want to do with this time I have? I want to take refuge and repeatedly take refuge. This is my goal. This is my mission. I'm taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And I will take that refuge until enlightenment is reached. So again, again, and again, it's keeping you on the path, keeping you in that direction. And the second couplet there is about our what is called a bodhicitta motivation. Why? Why are we taking this refuge? It's because we've realized that the circling of anger, greed and selfishness is not what we wish to do. And we wish to take a refuge because we wish to help all other beings. So we make this vow to train our mind in taking refuge until enlightenment is reached for the benefit of all sentient beings. So you can say we're wishing something for our own mind, and we're wishing something for the mind of all sentient beings at the same moment, at the exactly same moment. And how are we going to do that? In that second couplet, it says through the merits, through the merits of generosity and so forth. And so when we read about the conduct and the practices of a Buddhist in our tradition, we very much look at the paramitas in six areas of paramitas. I know in some traditions there are 10. So when we study the paramitas, we study the parameter of generosity. There's 3 different types of ethical conduct, 10 virtues and non-virtues. You can think really now the virtuous activities of the body, of the speech and of the mind. What is virtuous activity in the climate that we live in now, with the worries that we have now? What is virtuous activity? And then we have patience, quality of patience, often seen as the antidote to anger. And then we have something called perseverance, or joyful perseverance. That's very important if we're going to have stability to our efforts. Yeah, so they don't just come and go, goes up and down according to one's mood or the circumstance, you know. The stable mind has this quality of perseverance. And then we have meditative concentration, the 5th parameter. And then finally the 6th one is wisdom itself. So when we make that second couplet, we are offering the merit, the goodness of all of our generosity, ethical conduct, patience, perseverance, meditative concentration and wisdom. We're offering it to hope that our mind becomes enlightened for the benefit of all beings. And whatever your life is like, I encourage you to cultivate those qualities in some way. I hope you find a space in your life where generosity can be cultivated, virtuous conduct can be cultivated, patience, perseverance, concentration and wisdom. So I hope this, at this time, remembering these things, taking refuge with your mind and cultivating those useful qualities for yourself and all sentient beings. I hope this is the support at this time.